Listen, guys, I know I'm a little late to this topic, but I had to talk about it. It's too fucking funny not to. You guys might know, recently, I started working out. I like lifting. I've always enjoyed it. My biggest issue has always been having, like, a bit of a bad appetite. It's hard to eat a lot of calories consistently, daily, without fail, so bulking has always been my biggest struggle. Though I've never had a problem keeping fat off my body. I've got a real fast metabolism. And so, being very much into working out, especially lately, you can imagine I watch a lot of fitness influencers on YouTube and other platforms. And because of that, I'm aware of a certain lad, we'll call him, by the name of Liver King. I don't know if you guys know who this dude is, but he is a creature. That is the only way to describe him. If you guys know, like, what's his name? Pickle from Baki? That's essentially his deal. He's trying to become a monkey. He is trying to return to monkey, anarcho-primitivism type shit. He believes that eating organs and bulking nonstop and lifting nonstop is the best way to live a happy, healthy lifestyle. And he advocated for many years that he was this fully natural. And for those that don't know what natural means in this context, it means that he's not, supposedly wasn't on steroids or any form of performance-enhancing drugs. Now, it was very obvious that this is a lie. I think most people can agree this dude is not natty. Yeah, he's old, and you could say, like, yeah, well, if someone's gonna be that ripped and that big, and they're going to be natty, they'd be like an older guy, like this dude, who's probably been working out his whole life. And so, there was this veil of plausibility to his physique that a lot of people were willing to kind of just believe he was natty. They were willing to believe him. I just realized I never turned the lights on in the background of my stream. My bad, guys. Many people were willing to just, like, take his word for it and believe him that he was natty and wasn't on any type of performance-enhancing drugs. The problem is, there is one person with a massive platform who became aware of the Liver King due to his persistent clout chasing of Joe Rogan, and that was Joe Rogan. This guy was constantly messaging him, constantly trying to get on his show, and this is a big mistake, claiming that he was a natural bodybuilder. Joe Rogan called bullshit. He did so quite publicly and repeatedly, and people quickly took Joe Rogan's side because, especially back then, he was at the top of the totem pole. Like, everybody liked Joe Rogan. Everybody thought if Joe Rogan says something, especially about this type of topic, what he says is gospel, essentially. So Joe Rogan basically nuked this guy's career, exposed him for being an obvious PED user that, no, living his lifestyle will not make you look like him unless part of that lifestyle that he's not telling you about, that you also live, is taking performance-enhancing drugs. He got exposed for it. He's creating unrealistic expectations. People who try to follow his instructions won't get the results that they're hoping to see, and they'll quit. You can't overpromise people when it comes to fitness, otherwise they'll get demotivated and they'll stop working out. Especially when you're a fitness influencer, trying to motivate an audience of people that you can't, like, one-on-one, like, re-motivate should they lose their motivation. You know what I mean? And so, Joe Rogan destroyed this guy by calling him out. One of the rarest W's of Joe Rogan's career, I must say. But that isn't where the story ends. You see, just a few days ago, the Liver King was apparently arrested and says he will never stop making death threats against Joe Rogan, which is what he was arrested for. That's right, dude. This guy has gone so off the chain, years long, like, falling out against Joe Rogan, by the way. Like, this has been going on for, like, 3 years. Constantly making death threats at Joe Rogan, and now he's been arrested for it. Social media influencer Brian Johnson, better known as the Liver King, is out of jail after allegedly making a terroristic threat against Austin-based podcaster Joe Rogan. Johnson was arrested on Tuesday after posting multiple videos to Instagram challenging Rogan to fights. Okay, it wasn't death threats, it was like, fight me, bro, I'm gonna beat you up, I'm gonna fuck you up. Johnson took to social media on Wednesday, hinting at his arrest. I don't remember what the Liver King sounds like, so I'm gonna assume he's got like a deep southern accent. Sorry if I'm wrong. I have been given the gift of a restraining order, quote unquote, Johnson said in a video. If anybody knows of someone else whose first name rhymes with Blow, whose last name is Rogan, I'm not allowed to say it. Johnson said he was going to the Capitol and showed his ankle monitor in the video. I don't want to give any details nor any names. That's how you get ready for a fight. And you thought the videos would stop, but they will never stop. You've got an infinite amount of venom, and then we'll hug and unite. At some point, you have to capitulate something. Real tension. Real fight, Johnson said. This guy is having like an actual schizo moment. None of what he's saying here makes any sense. I don't know if he's speaking caveman, like he's speaking ooga booga, and I don't get it, but bro is like, the image of him that I showed you guys is literally him like in the woods with a spear. This dude thinks he's like Pickle from Baki. The terms of Johnson's bond include no contact and a requirement to stay 200 yards away from Rogan and his family members, including their homes and places of business. No possession of firearms, wearing an ankle monitor, and a mental health evaluation within 1 week of release. Johnson posted multiple videos to Instagram challenging Austin-based podcaster Joe Rogan to fights on Monday. Joe Rogan, I'm calling you out. My name's Liver King. Man to man, I'm picking a fight with you, he said. I have no training in jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt. You should dismantle me. But I'm picking a fight with you. Your rules. I'll come to you whenever you're ready. In this video, Johnson is seen shirtless, wearing an animal fur headdress and holding what appears to be 2 short-barrel AR-15 style rifles plated in gold. You would never come across something like this. You never come across something like this. Willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out because that's a dream come true, Johnson said in another post. Is bro getting like bricked up thinking about Joe Rogan choking him? Hey, yo. Austin police say they became aware of the videos on Tuesday, and that Instagram posts revealed that Johnson was traveling to Austin. Rogan told police he had never had an interaction with Johnson and considered the post threatening. On Tuesday, a post on the Liver King Instagram account shows Johnson in handcuffs being placed in the back of a police car by officers at the Four Seasons Hotel in Austin. Austin police say it remains an active investigation. Apparently more has come out since, and not Joe Rogan, Philip DeFranco, of all people, our boy Phil, the newsman, did a segment talking about it, and I believe he includes some of the clips that we mentioned there a moment ago. I was going to dig them all up myself, but kind of a pain in the ass, and considering Philip DeFranco did that already, I figured this would be the best way for us to watch the videos in question, and I can give my thoughts.
The Liver King just got arrested for threatening Joe Rogan as we're trying to figure out what sparked this unhinged beef. The head of NATO just called Donald Trump daddy, but...
Well, wait... Did people forget that, like, 3 years ago, Joe Rogan was the one who, like, nuked the Liver King's career by calling him on his bullshit that he was natty? Because everybody took Joe Rogan's word as gospel during all that, and he was clearly right, so I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But, like, Joe nuked the Liver King. I'm pretty sure I'm not mistaken.
That's just one small reason we have to talk about this huge NATO summit. And Zoran Mamdani didn't just win in New York City. He buried Andrew Cuomo's comeback, as Cuomo had the name, the money, and the machine, but Mamdani had TikTok, a message, and people in the streets. But it's also not over yet. We're jumping into all that and much more on today's brand new Philip DeFranco show, your daily dive into the news. But first, a quick announcement. The BB-28 experiment that we did with BeautifulBastard.com, it was such a success, we figured we gotta lean into this. So I'm very excited to announce another special test run for you, but this time it's over at BB-28.com, along with our fantastic...
Why liver? I think he became the Liver King. Okay, eating liver does have some benefits, but also if you eat too much of it, you'll literally get gout. You know, like you can't live off of a diet of mostly organs. Like animal organs have a lot of downsides to eating them. A little bit of like chopped up certain animal organs, like as a side or added to certain foods, can have some health benefits. Like they can be pretty high in certain vitamins. But you really don't need to eat organs, you know? Like, they're not... Like, yeah, he got famous for eating raw liver, too. It's just kind of gross, and it's a gimmick, you know? It's his gimmick, right? Most people aren't willing to eat pounds of raw liver on video. He is, and so he made that his thing and convinced people it was somehow, like, a superfood. But yeah, like, you can get very sick from eating too many, livers in particular. Like, those filtering organs, which is what the liver is, eating too many livers or kidneys or whatever, not good for you. You don't want to do that.
Lighter weight, perfect for summer tanks and tees that are just $28. We're doing
Yeah,
a
he eats
special
raw
limited
bull
run
testicles,
right now
too.
of premium watercolor canvases. So whether you want an awesome little one like this to let people know that you're clearly thriving, you want to let the world...
Now, to be clear, yes, the, what's his name? The Liver King, his whole, like, idea of being a natty bodybuilder was fake, but the lifestyle is real. He is on video actually eating raw liver and raw bull testicles, okay? Like, I've seen that man scarf down, like, when I say raw bull testicles, you might be imagining, like, so, like, it's just the balls, like, on a plate, right? Like, a couple of meatballs? No, I mean, like, the skin is still there. Like, a bull was killed, its balls were chopped off and slapped on a plate, and the guy eats it right then and there. That's what I mean when I say he eats raw bull testicles. It is the grossest thing I've ever seen.
Know that you may not mess with politics, but politics will mess with you in a, let's say, bigly fashion.
Yeah, I'm not
can
showing
right
it.
now at bb28.com. Get the link in the
Rocky
description
Mountain
for you.
oysters.
Get what you want while you can, because again, this is a test run. But all of that said, we've got a lot to talk about today, starting with this. The Liver King just got arrested for making terroristic threats against Joe Rogan. And if you don't know who the Liver King is, he's this social media personality known for selling supplements, promoting
Welcome
what
to
he
the
calls
club.
an ancestral lifestyle, eating raw meat, and having just this big bodybuilder physique. You know, in the past, he had kind of been the focal point of some controversies, including how he denied using steroids, though it eventually came out that he was in fact spending tons of money on steroids to achieve his figure. But that then leading to...
Yeah, he was dropping $11,000 a month. I think he was taking HGH, Tren. He was also getting testosterone replacement therapy, so that he was, like, peaking his testosterone levels. He was on everything. He was literally on everything, and he was dropping an extra few thousand a month on, like, scans so he could know, and blood work, so he could know how to optimize his intake of PEDs. Did Rogan outgrift him? Is that why he crashed out? Yeah, Rogan also... Does Rogan sell... Yeah, no, Rogan definitely sells supplements, yeah. Not as, like, hardcore as Alex Jones does, but Rogan's definitely a supplement guy. To be fair, I think Rogan actually sells supplements that work, if I'm not mistaken. Like they're vitamin supplements and shit. I mean, it is just an expensive multivitamin, but, like, at least it's not claiming to make you a Giga Chat or something.
Tons of criticism and backlash and people calling him a fraud. But now he's in the news for a very different reason. And before he got arrested, he started posting an incredibly bizarre series of videos promising to pick a fight with Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, I'm calling you out. My name's Liver King. Man to man. I'm picking a fight with you.
Those are some nice ARs.
I have 0 training in jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt. You should dismantle me.
But I will force and demand.
Joe Rogan actually trained occasionally at the Gracie gym, the Gracie MMA gym that was in, like, that I, like, did my practice at. It was pretty neat. Like, I didn't ever see him or anything, but he did occasionally go there and people talked about it. And that is actually where I first heard Joe Rogan's name. And I was like, who's Joe Rogan? They were like, oh yeah, former MMA fighter. He might have been a current MMA fighter, but, like, I knew him as, like, a guy in the world of MMA and jiu-jitsu first, and many years later began to know him as a podcast guy. Like, it's kind of wild. Rogan pushes shit like methylene blue, he became a quack. Okay, so he's fully on, like, the Alex Jones wagon, basically. I see.
A response from Joe Rogan, and I'm coming to Joe Rogan's town, Austin. I was here before you, Joe Rogan.
Wait, he literally went to
Texas,
Joe
that's my
Rogan's
home.
town?
This week you probably might need to worry about me. You probably need to worry about Joe Rogan more. You've never come across something like this. Willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out all week, Joe Rogan. So when I'm like, hey, anybody know my name? Liver King. Who am I fighting? Joe Rogan. When? This week. By the way, I don't know if anyone knows, we're going to have free Wi-Fi everywhere we are. We're going to have free Wi-Fi. And the password for this week, only 1 week, is fuck.
I'm not gonna lie, this guy could have had a completely different future if he had just, like, auditioned for Game of Thrones, man. Can you imagine this guy playing, like, a wildling? You know? Like, I could see this guy drinking, like, goat milk mead with Tormund. Like, this guy would be such perfect casting for a wildling. He could have had a great career in acting, you know? Dude, yeah, his left and right pupil are absolutely different levels of dilation, though that kind of makes sense, right? Like, this pupil is... Wait, no, it doesn't make sense. This pupil has a bunch of light on it, and this pupil is in the dark. What the fuck is going on here? He's on something. His pupils are reversed. The pupil that's in the dark is smaller, and the pupil that's in the light is bigger. That's not how that's supposed to happen. That's not work. His pupils are not working right.
You, Joe Rogan.
And understand, like, all of that, it's really just a quick sampling of what he's been saying over the past few days. There's a lot of rambling and scattered messaging. He also took some jabs at Netflix, which notably released a documentary recently about his supplement empire. And in a few videos, he showed a box at Joe's face and said he had a present for him and that he had beef with him.
Did he just take a hit to the head recently? He had an accident with an exercise rubber band? Dude, he's got, like, a mark on his head.
Netflix, which notably released a documentary recently about his supplement empire.
Here.
And in a few videos, he showed a box at Joe's face and said he had a present.
Like, you can kind of see it in this image, but lately he's got, like a welt on his head. I've seen it in a few shots, and I thought maybe it was just his veins. Brain damage is the guy's whole business. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe he has brain damage and is just, like, tweaking out right now.
For him and that he had beef with him. You know, he hasn't gone into detail as to what the source of the beef is, though you have some speculating it might be because Joe's discussed Liver King on his podcast before and suggested that his steroid use is...
He exposed him 2 years ago. Man, maybe we should watch this clip.
Pretty obvious. You also had the Hollywood Reporter saying that the Liver King might even partly blame Joe for his steroid scandal and its impact on his career.
Oh,
whatever
absolutely.
The motive may have been, as Liver King posted that he had traveled to Austin, Texas to meet Joe. You saw a lot of people popping up in the comments section just worried about his mental health and well-being. And those concerns, they just got louder and louder when he posted a series of videos showing him getting arrested, including one where he learned that the cops were outside with him.
Who needs mental health when you're jacked?
Putting on a shirt referencing his fight with Rogan and also asking, what did I do that's illegal? And then there's another where he hugs his family goodbye and one where he's cuffed and put into an officer's vehicle. And now you've got multiple outlets reporting that he's been charged with a Class B misdemeanor of making a terroristic threat. But then the Austin Police Department giving a statement to Rolling Stone this morning saying, on Tuesday, June 24th, 2025 at approximately 9:30 a.m., Austin Police Department detectives were notified that a subject identified as Brian Johnson, known online as Liver King, had made threats against Joe Rogan on his Instagram profile. Detectives reviewed the post and observed that Johnson was traveling to Austin while continuing to make threatening statements. Detectives contacted Mr. Rogan, who stated he had never had any interaction with Johnson and considered the post to be threatening. And then adding, based on this information, detectives obtained an arrest warrant for Johnson on a charge of terroristic threat. Right, and so he was taken into custody from the Four Seasons Hotel, and the investigation remains ongoing. And, you know, while we wait to see what happens with the legal charge, what happens in real court, the court of public opinion is sounding off. And you've got a lot of people reacting mostly to Liver King's videos and speculating on his mental health. With, for example, the likes of Alex Jones sharing a video of him and writing mental illness is no joke and discussing.
Dude, Alex Jones just chiming in with a simple mental illness is no joke is fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy, dude. That is like if a clip came out of someone being, like, very rude and misogynistic towards a woman, and Donald Trump just out of nowhere quote tweeted it and said, "No man should ever speak to a woman this way," and just left it at that. You'd be like, okay, I guess. I mean, all right, rare W. Okay, yeah, shit, nothing. I got nothing to say here. Rare Alex Jones W, I guess.
Liver King's arrest during his show and saying,
and that just shows how crazy society's going. In the videos, he looks extremely deranged with dilated pupils, and so we hope the Liver King gets better. But this is what is happening in America.
And Jones definitely wasn't alone in pointing out Liver King's pupils, and for a while now, people in his comments have been concerned that he might be using drugs. There was some online claiming he was going through a psychotic episode.
No, look at this. What happened to him here? You guys see this, right? Like something is going on there. That is like a welt or a bruise on his forehead. And it seems like it extends, you know? Do you think he like dropped what could have happened that caused this? You know, I bet this guy does that drill where you like swing the hammer around your head. Do you think he fucked up that drill and just whacked himself in the side of the head super fucking hard? I bet he'd be doing that. That could totally make sense for how he did this to himself. You know he did this working out, so we have to think of like workouts he was doing that could have done this to him. Hold on. Hammer, swing, workout. This workout is insane, but I could totally see this guy. I could imagine that he was using one of these big ass like hammer mace things and was doing like the swings. This guy's doing it one-handed. The guy in the background's doing it how I imagined he would be doing it, but like I could see him having bashed himself in the head doing this. Like if you get really confident in it and maybe you push yourself past failure. Dude, this guy's doing one per arm. Damn. Yeah, this is like an extremely powerful delt and upper back workout, I imagine. I've never even tried something like this before, but I'd fucking love to. I'd love to get strong enough to be doing this. Anyway, folks. Just thought I'd posit that theory.
Episode while pounding methylene blue, with another pointing to a post from last year where he says he found ayahuasca or tying it to his steroid use. But obviously, you know, I'll say we don't know what actually prompted him to seemingly spiral and go after Joe Rogan. Currently, there's this void of verified, definitive information, and we're seeing that being filled with a lot of speculation and reactions to his posts. And all of this is, you know, the attention and the chatter around him has been increasing since last month, because he's been facing increased scrutiny since Netflix released that documentary on him, and you had people responding by calling him nuts and a grifter. You know, for now, we're gonna have to wait to see what comes from the situation,
statements.
what we learn, and in the meantime, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts here. But then, next up today, we've got to talk about how
So, I gotta say, I find all this very funny, okay? Everyone involved in this situation is a bad person, except for Philip DeFranco, and I genuinely hope that Liver King and Joe Rogan destroy each other. Obviously, a fight's not gonna happen, but like, you know, reputationally, I doubt Joe Rogan's going to come out of this looking worse, but I think the Liver King, I think he's done after this. And one less grifter scamming people on the internet into buying methylene blue and, I don't know, like workout pills or something. Like steroids or whatever. One less person pushing that shit, I'd say that's a W. I'd say that's a big W. I'll take it as a win. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way whatsoever, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below, whether you're watching live or after the fact and this goes up as its own video. Every like and comment forces YouTube to push my content in the algorithm to more people. If you don't know what to say in your comment, you can always just say, "Who up Xandering their hall?" And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms and on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications and follow my social medias linked down below. I highly recommend you join my fan Discord. It's the main hub of my community and fan base, and on top of that, I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights there every week on Fridays, so definitely want to join. It's the place to be. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch, the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching, as always, and have a good one.